I'm having this thought about pain and how we perceive our own pains and strains in the body when we are training with a barbell or whatever method of training you are undertaking. You know, this idea of pain, I have it now, let's rest it, has always bothered me. And over the course of my training career, both basketball and now, more intensively, I guess, learning about the body, ever since I've kind of known for myself, I've always kind of wondered why we rest certain things when it hurts. And I've definitely had injuries in my time, and there's different types of injuries. I understand that. I understand when people come in with broken bones and things of that nature to the emergency department, you're not going to have them not rest. But a lot of these issues that we get, let's call them overuse injuries, let's call them upset tissues or whatever sort, a lot of us get recommended by let's say the layman, or let's say the medical professional who gets a medical degree and all of a sudden thinks they know everything about sports performance and everything about the whole physiotherapy world. They would often recommend the whole RICE thing, rest, ice, compression, elevate, that kind of thing. And I know that's kind of been already disproven not to be the best thing to do. But this whole idea of pain, right? My story of pain when it comes to the squat everyday journey has always been this right hip. And I've done lots of different things throughout these last 3 years. And I've definitely found things that improve it and other things that don't improve it, that make it worse. And whatever I did, I feel like as long as there is enough volume, as long as there's enough repetitions, there's enough blood pumped to the area, I'll end up feeling good. That could be some sort of lunge. That could be some sort of a squat for high reps. That could be some sort of pulling. There could be wide stance squats for high reps. Anything as long as it's high reps, as long as there is a lot of blood going into the area. And so when I think about pain, and when I think about my latest iteration of pain, which is this right elbow, that's kind of prevented me from benching in recent times, although I've kind of got the hang of it now. One of you guys actually messaged me on Instagram, a fella who's been benching a long time, and basically reached out and said, I know your solution. And he basically said to me that I needed to train my forearm extensors. And so he basically said, reverse curls and just basically anything that extends your fingers in the forearm is really good for you. And I started doing that, and voila, man, like I'm feeling great. But this idea of pain, right? Like if you think about pain, like a fire in the department of a building or an organization, a lot of people would say, okay, you've got pain, let's rest it. Well, would you rest the fire? I know that's probably not the best analogy because there are different forms of pain. Some fires you got to just escape. You have to evacuate immediately, or otherwise you're going to lose your life. If you're fighting a big fire on the 15th floor of a building, that's a bad idea, man. Soon the whole thing might collapse. But this whole idea of pain and how we go about pain, and how most people say, oh, Ivan, you got pain, you better rest. But now with the whole conjugate, I'm kind of learning that a lot of these things can be managed purely with blood, purely with addressing whatever the weakness is. And I'd like to think a lot of these injuries that we classify as overuse injuries are essentially just unbalanced joints, unbalanced sections of our body. So if you use a lot of your wrist flexors, you're going to be, let's say, unbalanced at the elbow or at the wrist, or perhaps even the shoulder. And so a lot of us extreme-minded people, and I'm one of those, who have gone, yep, I want to squat every single day to a freaking training maximum, and I want to smash myself as hard as I can with it. I think that's a great idea. Eventually, after thousands upon thousands of reps, I've learned my lesson that you can do that, but you better go just as hard on the opposite side of whatever the hell you're doing. So if you're doing a squat, you got to hit all the other sides of whatever the squat is not doing. All right. So a squat is essentially a holistic movement, and that's kind of what fed into the whole thing for me, because I thought, well, the squat is the greatest exercise of all time. It hits everything in the body, so why can't I just do that over and over again? The trouble is that you are continuously hitting the body from the same angle. You're continuously copying the hook. Bang, 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 bang. Eventually, you're going to lose if you continuously get the freaking hook. You got to mix it up. So that's kind of what I've learned. And now I'm kind of in a situation where my new approach, my new method of training, my new understanding of training is like, okay, there's pain there. Let's explore. Let's hit the opposite side. Let's really just shower that joint with blood, shower that muscle with blood. And my elbow feels great. My hip feels great. And I'm kind of thinking along the lines of, okay, as soon as there is a painful stimuli from training, I'm going to go, okay, there is a fire in that department. I have to go and extinguish it. And the way I extinguish fire in the body is blood. And a lot of the times, the first step should be, okay, let's target whatever hurts on the opposite side. So if you're like me, the elbow, the ulnar side flexes, right at the proximal kind of, right at the head of that, right at the origin of that, really hurts. Okay, so you can try and do that flexor and make that flexor work extremely hard, or you can target whatever that muscle is, that antagonist. And that's kind of exactly what I've done with the forearm. And now I can bench, it's not even a thing anymore. Like it doesn't hurt anymore. Occasionally in the mornings when I'm getting out of bed and I plant my hand on the bed to kind of get up, I can feel it a little bit, but it's a fraction of what it used to be. Now when I warm up for bench, I don't feel it at all. So that is a humongous improvement from simply just applying this theory of let's just target the hell out of the antagonist. And I wonder, I know, the whole bicep, reverse curls is a much easier, joint to kind of work with the elbow. With squats, it's very, very complex. There's lots of different moving parts. And, what is the antagonist? Is it the freaking glutes? Is it the adductors? Is it the hamstring? Is it the quad? Is it the obliques? Is it the QL? Is there a core? Is it an anterior pelvic tilt? There's a lot going on there. And so it can kind of get a little bit complex. But as long as you start with the problem of, I want to target whatever the opposite is, to try and solve that imbalance. Because essentially we are doing something that is extreme. We are taking a lot of weight through a full range of motion in one specific type of movement. And we need to balance that. And that's kind of been the question in my mind, what is the best partner to balance the squat? What is the best squat partner? I'm yet to find it. Now I'm kind of approaching it, kind of like carpet bombing it, in the sense that I'm doing everything a little bit. So every single angle, wide, narrow, box, height, different height, narrow, front, back. I'm doing all sorts of different things to kind of get a hold of this idea. And on top of that, today, you guys saw at the start of the video, I did some reverse lunges. Now, why? Why did I do the reverse lunges? Well, the question is, why not? What am I doing in the frontal plane? Nothing. That's wrong. That is wrong. What am I going to upset by continually just working in the sagittal plane? That's the question. I have to do something with that. And when I think about the whole lunge thing, what sparked my idea about lunging was I looked at the 220 kilo attempted squat, right? That's going back a long freaking time, like 2 years. And looked at that video, watched it, listened to myself, and I'm like, man, lunges, I was doing lunges like crazy back then, and I felt really, really good in my hips. So much so, obviously my understanding of the hip pain has progressed a lot more, but back then I felt so confident with those lunges. They were insulating my hips so much with the amount of volume I was pumping into that frontal plane movement that I felt that good that I wanted to attempt 220. Now, I don't attempt things just for the, out of the blue. I attempt things when I really feel good. And so for the fact that I attempted that 220 shows me that whatever that frontal plane exercise, the reverse lunge, whatever I was doing something wonderful for me. For the balance of that joint, for the antagonist of that joint, I was feeling amazing. So that is something to kind of think about. There is blips on my radar all the way from the onset of my training career of some of these ideas that kind of, I thought I knew what was going on, but really the variation of all of those things was really what's happening. So when you change something right now, and the next week you're like, man, this is amazing. And then it starts to fizzle away and you're like, God damn, I thought I grabbed it. But there's no it. The it is the change. The change is the it. And that's something that is absolutely insane to kind of think about, but that is literally what I was chasing this whole time. I was chasing change. Now, how the hell do you catch change? Change is not a thing. You can't catch change. You can be change. Chasing your own tail over and over again. Lesson learned, man. You gotta rotate. Variation, variation. Nothing is best. There is no Mount Rushmore of exercise. This idea of the bench, the deadlift, the squat are the greatest. Screw that. Nothing is the best. It is not a Mount Rushmore. It's a plain. It's a grassland. And everything is on the same level. I appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.